Yes, so I want to copy the link and then paste it on the group.
Okay, no wahala.
Sir, you can also have you dropped the post on your WhatsApp too? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I'm
Okay, I
sharing it
think
now.
okay. So we'll be starting. I think we have two viewers already. Two people have joined us. So we can start right away. So let me try. Let me go first. My name is Ayomide. I'm the founder of AI Web Co, where we build AI receptionists and AI systems for companies. We help companies automate their workflow. We build AI receptionists. We AI chatbots, customer service chatbots, and so many things with AI. And then I discovered that most people, even some of this company, there is still a lot of knowledge gap between the AI potentials and what these companies know. And then when you now come down to the average Nigerian, they do not really understand they do not really understand what AI can do. Especially if you go on TikTok, you figure out that most people believe that AI is just all about creating all these videos, editing videos, and stuffs like that. And then AI is more than that. AI is being used to build robots, to build self-driving cars, to build drones, innovations, and so many other things like that. So that's why we've opened a group called AI Builders Network, where we are onboarding those who wants to learn AI and for business, creating, solving problems, and other things like that. And today we decided to host a webinar. We supposed to have had it since yesterday, but due to some circumstances we couldn't have it, and then we are here now. So we'll be discussing about AI and its potentials. And I have a co-host with me, Mr. KB. He's an AI expert, and he has so many years of experience more than me in the tech industry. So I'll just let him introduce himself briefly before we continue. So you have the mic, sir.
All right, thanks, Aramide. So my name is Kabir. Hi everyone. My name is Kabir. I am an AI operations lead, and I am also an AI automation specialist. Um, I primarily believe that AI right now has presented or presents an opportunity for Africans to basically do much more better in terms of the tech space. We have an opportunity right now to build world class solutions, world class products, and even world class businesses because intelligence is now commoditized, right? So I'm one of the
Yeah,
true firm believer in the potentials and the possibilities of leveraging AI to do great things in Nigeria and in Africa. Thanks for having me on the
yeah.
call.
All right, sir. So, for everyone watching us that do not understand AI, maybe they are just hearing AI, they are seeing some of the videos that most people are creating, some of the designs people are doing with AI, and then they do not know AI more than that. So I need you to tell us, for someone hearing about AI and is confused, how would you explain AI in a very simple words?
Okay, so I'll say AI is basically the way of making computers smart enough to learn, to reason or think, and to solve problems like human beings do, right? What makes us very special species is our intelligence. And we've grown intelligent enough to be able to now have
Yeah,
machines essentially do some of the things that we can do, like understand languages, recognize patterns, learn from experience, looking at a lot of data, historical data, make decisions and just solve problems, right? So I guess simply it's just a way of making machines or computers smart enough to do the things we can do, right? Like learn, like think, and solve problems, pretty much.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. So, what are some of everyday examples of AI that people may already be using without even realizing it? The AI trend is everywhere, and some people are already using AI without even realizing they are using AI. So, what are some of the everyday examples of AI that you can give us that people have already been using without even realizing?
Okay, so your face unlock for your phone is essentially
Yeah,
AI, right? Before ChatGPT became a thing, we've always had AI, but maybe not generative AI like we do right now, right? Most of us use Gmail. The spam filter is AI, right? I'm sure everybody on the call here has a Facebook account. That recommendation that's
yeah,
essentially says, you may know so person, basically AI, right? If you're using Google Maps as well, the routing part is AI. Um, Netflix, Spotify, even YouTube
yeah,
recommendations, those are actually AI solutions. And I think even more popularly, right? Your banks use AI because they
yes,
essentially try to track fraud alerts and, just look at how people use their bank accounts or their cards to see if there's any abnormality, right? That's basically AI. I would say ChatGPT just made it much more famous because we got to a
exactly.
level where it could talk back, right? You could essentially in a product, in an AI application or product, basically just talk and then you could get an instant response, which made it quite exciting, right? But thinking back, AI has been around for over 70 years, right? Since the 1950s. But as technology advances, it pretty much gets much more closer to humans, or more friendly to how we experience it.
Yeah, thank you. You actually mentioned ChatGPT, and then I feel that ChatGPT is one of the most popular AI that people know. Especially in Nigeria, here, they will just say ChatGPT, 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 of which even cloud is more. I mean, me, I prefer cloud to ChatGPT though, because I've used both, and then I've seen their potential, I've seen what they can do, and in terms of coding, I think cloud codes more than chat. Though they are coders, though ChatGPT are trying to release some kind of models that are trying to build the opus of cloud, because this ChatGPT has I mean cloud has different models. They have Sonnet, they have opus, and some other models like that, of which I mean I prefer it, though they have their own ups and downs. And but then chat is one of the most popular AI that people know in Nigeria, because I remember when it came, I think it's ChatGPT was released in 2022 or thereabouts, and before it started trending in Nigeria it was 2023, 2024, but now it's now more rampant, and everywhere everyone is using ChatGPT. So sir, do you think AI is just a trend, or is it something that will affect the future of work seriously? And then how has it been? Oh, I think I lost my co-hosts. That might be network. So let me continue from here. So most people, when they hear chat, they'll be like, "Oh, AI." Yes, there are a lot of things you can use ChatGPT for. You can use it to create all these ebooks. You can use it to code. You can use coders to build a whole website. But then you don't have to rely on only ChatGPT, because there's difference between someone that is using AI blindly and someone that know what they are doing, and then are also just using AI to support their work. And then there are a lot of opportunities in Nigeria in AI, because when you look at some of these ChatGPT, when you look at some of these models, like ChatGPT, Cloud, Gemini, all these apps are built based on the the white people ecosystem. They built it to serve them. We do not have LLMs that is built for African base, that's being built for African base, that understand our ecosystem and the way we run things in Nigeria. I think my co-host is back. Let me just add him to the
Yes,
stage.
guys.
Yeah,
Why Nigeria? It's
exactly.
fair for me
The
to be like
network.
that. Yeah, I had to
I,
stage it.
I, I'm still hoping that we will have AI that will help us solve the problems of electricity and then bad network in Nigeria.
That would be fantastic, really. These are problems that people should actually be thinking of, right now with AI.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Because there are a lot of problems out there, and then we need people that can build solutions to this problem. And the one of network, anyone who is able to build a solution for that network problem, that person will be a trillionaire in dollars. I don't even want to, because we have a problem. We have a network problem in Nigeria, and then second to electricity. So let's continue from where we stop. So I was asking that do you think AI is just a trend, or is it something that will affect the future of work seriously? Though it has started happening in some of the companies overseas. I mean, some companies like Microsoft, Meta, they are laying their staff off and then replacing them with AI agents. But when you now come down to Africa and Nigeria, it has not started happening. And then I'm not sure it's going to happen anytime soon. Maybe probably in next 5 to 10 years, it might start happening. I don't know. But then what do you think? Do you think AI is just a trend, or is it just going to come and go like Bitcoin? You know?
So personally, I don't think it's just a trend, right? I like to see AI as general purpose technology, right? It's just like how, at some point in history, somebody discovered fire, and then
Yeah,
that changed lots of things, right? At some
yeah,
point, somebody discovered electricity, And just because of
Yeah.
that discovery of electricity, there are lots of industries. How we live now, how we work is completely different, right? Um, the internet also was a discovery, and that completely has changed how we interact, how we communicate. Mobile phone. So I think for me, AI is essentially that, right? I would say it's in our own lifetime, right? Aside maybe for the internet, which went mainstream maybe in the late 80s and early 90s, AI is more or less like, that's main technology that would essentially shift or change, how we do things, right? How we work,
Yeah.
how we live. Because right now, like I said earlier in the beginning, you have a technology right now that you can delegate human reasoning, right? The best of human reasoning, right? It's been trained on data that is public, that essentially has a lot of intelligence and human PhD level intelligence. You get right,
Yeah.
and now you are
Yeah.
able to give that to somebody to basically leverage to solve problems, or find solutions to common problems that we have, right? So I don't think it's a bubble. I think just like every technology, in the early phase, yes, there will be lots of challenges before it stabilizes, right? Right now, there's the huge cost of essentially developing the technology, the compute costs, the accessibility, because to some people it's quite expensive for them to have access to, even if they are already cheaper alternatives right now, right? But I don't think
Yeah.
it's a trend really. I think it's here to stay. Basically,
It's
it's
yes.
going to change how we
Yeah.
live and it's going to change how we work eventually. And everybody needs to, jump on that wagon regardless, because it's just going to be a way of life. Like how right now we use phones, or we are essentially having
Yeah.
this life over the internet.
Yeah. So I want to ask: is AI more of a blessing or is it going to cause more problem? Because I was watching the news yesterday, and then someone was talking about a video that someone made. I think it was two. They edited Obasanjo in one, and then they edited Wole Soyinka in one. The one that they edited Obasanjo, it is all these I think forest guys. So they edited Obasanjo saying that he invested how much, I think 400, 300k or 400k as at 6 years ago, and then now it has exploded to over 3 billion or something like that. And then when I made some research, I figured out that it was all these videos that people were doing that they just use demand to advertise that platform, and then they use Wole Soyinka to do another thing. So it's like some people are using it to create problems. So I'm like, is it going to create more problems or is it going to solve more problems?
So I think it's going to solve more problems, right? Just like every technology, it depends on how
Yeah.
human beings use it, right? The technology itself is inherently good. What is bad is human beings. There are good people
Yeah.
and there are bad people, right? The technology itself is neutral. It just depends on how we use it. It's just like how some people are using the internet for yahoo yahoo. Some people are using it to
Yeah.
build solutions that are solving problems for
Yeah.
for users or for the world, right? So I think as the technology goes much more mainstream, we would find ways to identify the bad actors. We would find ways to identify people that are using it in a negative way. We'll find ways to govern its usage, and these are
Yeah.
opportunities also that present itself for people in the early days, right? Essentially, how do we govern the usage of AI for responsible use or for human safety, right? But ultimately, the technology itself, is fantastic, and I believe we can solve, a lot of human problems and even be much more productive and live better, much more better than we've lived so far, leveraging the technology.
All right, thank you for that. So, moving into the main context of this webinar, which is the untapped potentials AI, the untapped potentials in Africa. So, I want to ask, when we say untapped potential in AI, what does it really mean to you, and how do you see that? What are some of the untapped potential? Okay, before that, what does it really mean to you? Because I'm still going to ask some of the opportunities that you think is available in Nigeria and Africa. But before that, I want to say, when we say untapped potentials in AI, what does that really mean?
I think for me, it's essentially problems that exist that we are not pinpointing the technology to solve for us, right? Um, most part of Africa would still classify as, third world, countries, right? In terms of technological advancements or adoption, where as a continent, probably still, far behind other continents, right? There are still lots of problems that exist in this part of the world that don't exist in some parts of the world, right? And for the first time, we have technology that you don't necessarily have to learn technical things for. Right? You don't have to be a coder. You don't have to,
Yes.
be a software developer, right?
Yeah.
The advancement
Yeah.
right now with with generative AI has made it so easy that just by speaking how we are speaking on this call right now, right,
Yeah.
you essentially
You can
can
talk
guide
to.
the technology to solve certain
Yeah.
problems, right? You can generate audio, visuals. You can build applications. You essentially can come up with reports. You can do research, right? PhD level intelligence research that you probably need lots of people to do, right? So we have lots of problems in this part of the world, and I think essentially we should be at the forefront of even using this technology to solve these problems, right? Because the limitations we've had prior to now, apart from maybe the core infrastructure limitations that we have, right? It sort of reduced a bit, right? Now, you sort of have the same technology that anybody in the US or in China or any other advanced part of the world has access to, right? So I
Yeah.
think, yes, there are still certain challenges on cost, on, we still have certain infrastructural challenges, internet, power, and the likes, right? But I believe
Yeah. But
with what we have right now,
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
there are some opportunities, right? There are still things
Yeah.
we can actually do with the technology. There are still
Okay.
areas that we can point technology to and solve, some of the problems that we have, right?
Okay. Okay. So for, let's say, for some beginners that might be watching this video and then they are wondering that, okay, you talk about some of these opportunities. What are some of like two or three? Can you just give us like two or three opportunities that you think a beginner without no coding experience, no AI background knowledge, and anything? What can you just list about two or three potentials that you think they can tap in AI presently?
Okay, so number one is education, right? Um, with artificial intelligence, you have access to world class education, and then you have access to it in a way that you can personalize, right? Yes, we've always had free access to online education and the likes, right? But it's always been access that was created by people that are not like us, right? And essentially, us basically having to use infrastructure that are not built for this part of the world, right? With
Yeah.
artificial intelligence, you can personalize education for different calibers of people, right? Someone can you can
Yeah.
by yourself build an application that would help you even learn better, right? You even just having ChatGPT on your phone is enough for you to learn how best you learn, right? We're different in how we assimilate or how we learn things. So education is one area, tutoring, right, is one area that I believe artificial intelligence can pretty much help. For students, for instance, you can essentially just upload your lesson notes or even take pictures of your recent lesson notes and then have it
Yeah.
tutor you in a way that is best for you, right? And we know that one of the areas where we lag behind in this part of the world is having standard world class education, right? Beauty of it is
Yeah.
with AI, you can even personalize it to local languages, right? In Pidgin, you can basically tell ChatGPT, for instance, to have a conversation with you in
Yeah.
Pidgin, and it does a fantastic work, right? People that are much
Yeah.
more learned can even go as far as building applications, leveraging, LLMs like Gemini and some other models, right? To even build applications that will teach and translate it in local languages. So that way people can actually get world-class learning experiences even in local languages. So I think education is one area. And why I'm very particular
Okay.
about education is because, if you give a man fish, he would always come back and ask for fish. But if you teach him how to
Yeah.
fish,
Yeah. How to fish. Yeah.
essentially,
Yeah.
he's able to do more for himself, right? So I think education is one aspect. And the beauty of the education part is, with just basic access to some of the free LLMs, you can essentially leverage that. Even for people that are doing business, education is not just for students, right?
Yeah.
if I'm a businessman and I'm thinking of ways to improve my business, I can basically have a conversation with ChatGPT or Gemini and it will guide me, right? I can even tell it about my business and it will tell me off of data that has been trained and best practice how to go about my business in a very, very good way, right? This is even like these are like the basic level. But I think we can go further as far as even building things, right? There is just the back and forth, you chatting or even you having a normal conversation. Like me personally, for instance, how I interact with my ChatGPT is voice, right?
Yeah.
If I'm going out or I'm driving and I'm brainstorming and trying to solve a problem, I basically have, just like we're talking now, have a conversation with it and
Yeah.
it opens
Sure.
my mind to
Sure.
newer ways of doing things, right? So education is one aspect. I think another area is also business, right? I've mentioned the education part of business, but one of the things that world class businesses do, for instance, is that you don't just wait for customers to come, right? You have to
Yeah.
consistently engage
Yeah.
customers, right? And at some point, you were talking about the AI receptionist, right? Which you can
Yeah.
deploy anywhere to WhatsApp, right? To Instagram.
Yeah.
There's even more advanced technology that you can have a receptionist that you place a phone call to, and it's an artificial intelligence agent that would attend to it, right? Customer service is one of the strongest way
Customer.
for you to maintain your customers, right? Or to even sell more,
Yeah.
right? And basically having an AI reception or an AI agent on the channels that your customers engage with you that is always available 247 is a way for you to get more business, right? Essentially, there are AI automations or AI agents right now that you can have, tell it exactly about your business, tell it the services you render, the products you have, and then, whenever a customer engages you on WhatsApp and you're not available, it helps you sell, basically, right? It helps you sell. And we know, we're in a part of the world where everybody's hustling. You don't have money to employ more people. As your business is growing and scaling, you need to do more things, put more things in place. With artificial intelligence, you don't necessarily have to spend so much more, right? You don't
Yeah.
have to hire more people. Even if you're hiring people, you're hiring them and equipping them with intelligence that would help you serve your customers in a way that is world class standard, right? So there's no difference between how you a small business can serve your customers and how a big business can serve their
Business
customers
and
because you have access to the technology that can put you at par, right? Healthcare is
yeah.
also an interesting place where AI can also be beneficial, right? In fact, one of the biggest use cases for most people even using, the LLM applications, ChatGPT, Gemini, Cloud, is actually healthcare, right? Because most people,
Yeah.
whenever something is wrong with you, you basically will just go and
You
type
have
on
that.
Google and yeah. But now most people just, it's not the safest way. But then again, even hospitals, the medical practitioners can also
Yeah.
leverage AI for their own triaging, right? Um,
Yeah.
so you can basically even just the first level diagnosis or interaction, AI can essentially enable that, right? But yes, we have to be careful because healthcare is quite sensitive. But with very few
Yes.
doctors
Definitely.
and medical practitioners that we have right now, due to the Japa syndrome and the brain drain in the country, right now we have very very our doctor to
Yeah. I
patient or
want
to ratio, is very large right now, right?
Yeah.
Our medical practitioners are overwhelmed. So
Yeah.
essentially leveraging artificial intelligence via telemedicine, is one way to ensure that we are still able to, give world-class medical healthcare services, right, to the citizens,
Yeah.
right? So there are lots of ways, and interestingly, we are at an early stage in technology where anybody like me and you can even learn how to use it and build these things for businesses, right? For people
Exactly.
that need them, for the everyday users, right? And then you can get value from building these things. There are lots of problems to solve.
Yeah.
Basically, you just have to have that high agency and that zeal to want to learn, and then you can make money for yourself or render these services or build something world class that would solve lots of problems for people really.
Yeah, you're actually right. Thank you for that. Because there are a lot of, you mentioned health tech, and then there are really a lot of opportunities in the health industry in terms of AI. And then I'm also looking into that. I'm working on some things that's very soon. I'm sure when I'm done, the whole world we see. And then I'm not into health. I'm not an health practitioner, but then I have AI. So I just need to meet those that are the health practitioners and then combine their own health knowledge with my own AI knowledge, and then we'll build something. So thank you for
Exactly.
that. Thank you for that. So let's talk about freelancers and content creators and then small business owners. How can they use AI to increase their value?
Okay, so like I said earlier, right now, artificial intelligence has democratized access to basically being able to create quality right now, right?
Yeah,
Even if yes, sometimes it's too much that everything sounds alike or looks alike, right? For content creators, for instance, you can't run out of ideas really, because having access to the technology that helps you write or helps you generate, not even just writing, generate pictures or even
yeah,
visuals right now. Right now there are models that are multimodal. You can generate pictures, you can generate
yeah,
video content, right? You can
sure.
generate scripts. One thing that's popular in this part of the world is us making skits, right? People are making skits to get people to laugh, we suffer and smile and all of that, right? As a content
Yeah,
creator, you basically can leverage the technology to create content and educate people or entertain people, right? You can be a writer and you're able to do much more because you can bounce your ideas off of Claude, right? Off of Gemini or ChatGPT. And then if you're someone that is even super creative, writing is one way people engage content. You can decide to even write something and then, use VO3 or use other options, right? Grok or other
yeah,
options that are
yeah,
available, to create visuals for these your ideas, right? So I
yeah,
believe that content creation right now is at a phase where access to it is also now democratized, right?
yeah,
You don't need to go pay someone that can do, visual motion or graphics for you to be able to create quality world class content, right? Even the big companies and big studios are also looking at artificial intelligence, right? The same technology that they have access to, you also have access to, really. So with AI, for instance, right now, you can generate much more. You can even, create more value by learning the skill set by helping businesses to advertise. They want to advertise their
yeah.
products and their services. So you just
Creating
learning, even if
ads.
you're not doing exactly, you're not even if you're not doing it for yourself, you can do it for businesses that are trying to attract people, to their own products or their services and make money for yourself, right? For small businesses as well, right now with Canva or the AI functionalities on Canva, or even your ChatGPT and the likes, right? You can create content for your social media pages, right? The more you put out, the more people are aware of your businesses. So ultimately, like I always tell people, AI would not necessarily replace your value, right? It just helps you remove the busy work so you can point your attention and your real value can actually show, right? The AI native world or the AI phase of technology or the world adapting to it would essentially reward people that can tap and use the technology to create, right? So content creation is even not just content creation, being able to build things. People that are builders and creators will shine more, right?
Yeah,
Because you already have access to tools that can help you create more, right?
yeah,
Ultimately, yes, you create so much content that they overconsume, but at the same time, I'm sure as the technology advances, people that can be more creative, that can think, that have good taste and judgment, will shine more and will be the winners, right? But at this particular phase in the early stages of the technology, it's best to play with it, right? Learn how to use it, do a lot of things, and over time, your judgment becomes better, right? You're able to do more for yourself with it, do more for businesses with it, and build things. So at this early phase, it's best you either are learning, watching things, or joining communities, like the AI builder network, right? To essentially see what's possible. You have to surround yourself with people that are very passionate about the technology and trying to create and figuring things out.
all right, thank you. I think AI nowadays, it's the more you know how to talk to AI, the more better results you get. So it's you just have to it's just prompting. If you know how to prompt, then you know how to get more better results. So the more you know how to prompt, the more you get more better results. And there are a lot of use cases. In fact, there are some people that are using AI to create a whole movie now, movie of like 2 hours. So they are using it. If they can use AI to create movies, that means very soon they will start using it to create music videos, and creating music on behalf of all these popular artists. They don't really know what's coming yet. Most people don't really know
It's
what's
even
coming yet.
interesting. So sorry to cut you short. It's interesting that right now there are tools like Suno that can actually create music
Yes.
itself, right? So you can use
Yes.
AI to even create the music, not just creating
Exactly.
the videos for even the musicians, right?
It,
Imagine
it will
using
add the
AI to
beats,
create
add
jingles.
everything.
Yes, imagine using it to create jingles, right? When we were much much younger
Yeah.
and we used to watch TV actively before it became the internet, jingles, radio jingles, TV jingles were a thing, right? Now imagine using having access to technology that anybody, you don't have to go to a big to basically create jingles. You can come up with the scripts. You can use AI to even come up with the video itself, the visual. This is come up with the sound, right? So we're in an
Yeah.
interesting time right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So, for people that are watching and then they are starting from zero, what do you think they should learn first? Where should they start from?
Basically, what you said,
You know.
prompting, right? And when people hear prompting, they basically think it's something deeper, right? But essentially, it's just learning how to talk to it. The beauty of generative AI right now is it's normal English language, right? But then you're still talking to a machine, regardless. Um, there are ways you talk to it that you will get better results, right? Uh,
Yeah.
there's prompting and there's something called context, right? Context essentially is if I am going to do a better job at something, if you give me a task, I would do a good job if you give me as much information about what you expect, right? You basically tell me this is what I'm trying to achieve, right? These are the tools you have. These do it within this particular constraint or this particular scenario, this particular role. You are so type of person, right? That's basically what prompting is. So it's just you learning how to talk to AI. But the secret of getting good at prompting is you don't have to go and watch. Yeah, you can read things and all of that, but for you to start, just talk to it. The more you talk to ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, the more you see it respond to you, the more you figure out how you can even get a better response for it from it, right? And the beauty of it is you can, as you're getting responses that you don't like, you tell it, Oga, I don't like this is not what I want, right?
Yes. Yes.
Give me in this particular way, right? It gets much more
Yeah.
better. Just it as a small child or someone that you just employed that is trying to understand you, right? So don't go and start reading the history of AI or the big technology and all of that, right? Just first start with every single day, for 2 weeks, for a month, right? Just have
Yeah.
conversations with it, right? Let it help you think through certain things, right? Let it help you write. Let it help you, do your research. If you're a student, use it to try and do your assignments, but also still verify and all of that, right? I'm just imagining it's
Yeah.
like I said, an assistant that you're trying to shape for it to understand how you work. But most importantly, just learn to talk to AI very well. That's like the very first step.
Yeah. I think we are 37 minutes into this webinar now, and then we have less than 30 minutes to round up. So I'll just be asking. I have a lot of questions to ask, but then I can't finish everything today. But then I'll just ask some of the most important things that matters for beginners that want to pivot into AI. So I'll be asking now, what mistakes do beginner make when trying to learn AI, and then how can they stay consistent without getting overwhelmed?
Okay, so I think I would answer the second one first, right? How can you
Yeah,
stay consistent without getting overwhelmed? We're at a stage where every other week there is a new model coming out, or
exactly. New tools are coming out
there's
every day.
something new happening in AI every day, right?
Yeah,
So don't fall into the tutorial trap where you are watching endless videos, you are jumping from one video to another, you are on Twitter trying to keep up and all of that. You are going to have AI news fatigue, right? The
yeah,
biggest mistake you can make right now is just watching, watching, watching without doing. The most important thing to do right now, essentially, is figure out just one particular problem that you have, right? and then just
mm,
use AI to try and solve that. Learn how to use 1, 2 tools. You don't have to learn everything, right? You can learn how to use Claude to write, right? If let's assume you
yes,
have a blog post, or you have ideas and you don't know how to express them, you can learn how to use
yeah,
it to write. If you're a young professional, learn how to use it to write on LinkedIn. If you're someone that is quite creative and you want to create things, right? Go learn how to use one of these, video creation tools. Just lock in on it and then build your portfolio, right? So basically just pick 1 or 2 tools and master those particular things. You know, if you're someone that has lots of ideas and you've always wanted to build software, go pick up Cloud Code, or even there are open source tools. There's open code where you can pick,
yeah,
some open source models. You can use Open Router, right? Use that to build applications. Everybody knows, we know people that have certain problems that a simple application will help them solve, right? Learn how to build websites. Doesn't have to be a web application, right? Just pick one part and basically master being able to do that particular thing with the tools, right? So obviously the mistake pretty much is you just wanting to keep up and learning tutorials and all of that, right? um
yeah,
then going back to the first question was, what mistakes do people make, right? That's the
yes,
tutorial crap.
yes.
What's the
When trying
second
to
question?
learn, what mistakes? Yes, the second question is how can they stay consistent without getting overwhelmed? And I think you've already
Okay.
answered that.
Yes, so I've touched on that, but I think also it's very important to have people that you learn with, right? It could be a
Yeah,
pair, a couple of, yeah, and some of your friends. Like you just basically
yeah,
just as you do things, you engage them, know what you're doing and all of that. Or you join a
yes,
community, right? The fastest or easiest way to learn and maintain that momentum is actually join a community or have people that you're learning with, right? And I'd said this earlier before, right? The AI Builders Network is a
yeah. Be
fantastic
that
way
network.
for people to
Yeah,
just focus, right?
yeah,
Basically learn what's applicable, learn what people are doing, go see what people are actually building with AI. And if it's something that
yeah,
interests you, have conversations, if there are video tutorials, watch those particular ones and then do build. You have to build with AI right now. Nobody is a manager of people that are using AI, right? Even if
yeah,
you are going to be a consultant in the future or help businesses figure out, the most important
mm,
thing right now is getting your hands dirty and actually building with it. That's the most important thing right now. And that's the
yeah.
best way to actually not get overwhelmed and stay consistent.
Exactly. So for everyone watching, we have AI Builders Network where we are onboarding people who wants to learn AI. For now, it is free. It is totally free for now. Though it's still going to be monetized later, but for now, it's still very free. And then we'll be starting with prompting. We are starting our tutorial this weekend on Google Meet by 4 p.m. this Saturday 4 p.m. And then we'll be starting about prompting. We'll be teaching everyone how to prompt. So I think I'll be dropping the link to join the AI Builders Network in the comment section. So everyone who is watching or might watch later can join. So let's move to the business part, to some of the small businesses that are looking to adopt AI. So I want to ask, what should business owners avoid when adopting AI? And then how can they use AI without spending too much money?
Okay, so the first thing to avoid is don't go and dump customer or sensitive data randomly into AI tools, right? Privacy
Yeah,
matters. AI basically gets more powerful as it's trained on public data, right? Yes, there are ways right now for you to prevent your AI tools from essentially being used as a training data, right? But privacy matters, right? Don't basically go and dump sensitive data, randomly in ChatGPT or Gemini. Try and remove anything that
yeah,
contains personal information. That's very important. The number two is
yeah.
don't publish AI outputs without reading it or reviewing it. Because one common thing that most people do basically is ChatGPT is the smartest, right? Once it does it, you just go and dump it.
Chat,
The people that will
chat.
shine in this AI age basically are people that have good judgments, right? People that can review the output and tell us, I don't want this is not what I want, right? AI can still make small mistake. Nobody's above mistake, right? Sometimes it hallucinates. It's getting much more better, but it's very important for you to also review, the output, right? And I'll say the third part is I mentioned AI slop at some point, and AI slop basically is when, for most people, if everybody uses AI, it starts to sound the same, right? Yes, it was trained on human data and all of that, but don't allow, if you're using AI, don't lose your human voice. If you're a business, for instance, there's a way you want people to perceive your business, right? The brand, tone, and all of that. Customers can actually smell when your AI content is soulless. It doesn't have, humanity in it in a way, right? So you have to use it to augment that humanness in, the content or what you're trying to have your business, your customers perceive of your business, right? So I'll say, yeah, those are the things to avoid. Then the cheap easy ways to essentially use AI without having to spend too much. ChatGPT
Yes.
in itself is a powerful tool, right?
Yes.
Claude is a
Yes.
powerful tool. You can use it to tell it about your business. You can use it to constantly write posts, right?
Yeah.
Create
I mean,
pictures, create videos, maybe not videos, yes. ChatGPT in itself, not videos, right? There are other models that you can use to create videos and the likes, right? Sora and
yeah.
a couple of other, Gemini models and the likes, right?
Yeah.
Omni, most recently Omni, and then a couple of other Gemini ones, right? But you can use it to write posts and think of ideas on how to promote your business. There's a free version. You can use it to design flyers.
Yes.
If you're a
Definitely.
business owner that communication is via emails, you can use it to also help you structure your emails in a way that, yes, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to, spend $20 or, you know, $100
Yeah.
or two
They can.
hundred dollars. Basically leverage some of, these things, right? And then, yeah, obviously there are much more advanced ways you can automate your business operations, right? By
Yeah.
leveraging tools to agents as well to pretty much do a lot in your business where you don't necessarily need so much human beings, right? So you basically automate from one output, the input of another, and the likes. Um, we're living in interesting times. Interesting times. Interesting times.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, I feel they can start with all these free tools. I mean, the free tier. Chat has free tier, Cloud has free tier, but then Cloud is very minimal. I think you can't send more than 5 messages in a day. But chat is still chat. You can still use chat free tier more than Cloud. And then Gemini has I've used Gemini free tier for a full day, but then it's not the smartest model though. It's Gemini 2.5 Flash or something like that. But and it was hallucinating a lot. It was hallucinating a lot. So that's one of the things I think I need you to talk about, because so many people makes mistake of following the results that they get from AI without cross-checking, not knowing that it has hallucinated. So what advice can you give beginners and business owners on that?
It's, I think, for me it's simple, right? If you give
Mm.
if you give somebody your work to do, the people that are the
Yes.
best at what would always cross check, right? Yes, you have access to, a PhD level intelligence and
Yeah.
technology, but you should always still cross check.
Yeah.
In this AI age, the people that would shine, as AI does more work and we automate more tasks, right? The people that would shine most are people that have good judgment, right? Are people that have taste. And for you to have good judgment, you have to be someone that can review work, right? Don't be a lazy person. That's like the easiest way I can say is don't be lazy, right? Don't just be lazy. Yes, you've outsourced your work to AI or someone to do, but it's just like hiring
And then
someone. Once you hire someone, in the early days, you have to cross-check the work they're doing. So you sort of you have that confidence that they can do the work. And the beauty is, to be honest, hallucination is reducing now, right? The AI is getting
yes,
better.
yes,
The big
yes, it's getting.
frontier um, companies are building better technology, right? But
Yes.
one thing I would also say that is very important for business owners is don't just buy tools, right? Solve problems.
Solve
Basically,
problems.
use
Yes.
AI to actually solve your problems. And the truth is, if you are using it to solve your problems, obviously you will look at the output, look look at the solution to be sure that solve your
Yeah.
problems in the right way, right? Only pay when you hit free limits. Most of these tools have free limits, like you said as well. So basically, don't buy tools, solve problems with these tools. And if you have that mindset, obviously, you would get the most out of the technology. And if you even have to
Okay.
pay,
So now
you
I
will
want
know that it's solving a problem that you would have paid normally for. You get right?
yes, sure, sure. And then I think it is just though for those who don't have a career yet, they can just pick one career, learn, and then grow with it. But for those who already have a career or a business, they just need to implement AI or adopt AI to make their business more better, or then to make their job more faster or something like that. Because the
Exactly.
major yes, the major reason why AI is taking over is because it reduces cost, it saves time, and then it improves productivity. So those are some of the things I think why AI is gaining traction right now. So I want us to talk about the Nigerian and African ecosystem. So what do you think the adoption rate is, and what role do you think Nigerians and African are playing in the AI revolution? What is the adoption rate, and then what role do you think AI and African are playing?
Okay, so in terms of adoption, right?
Yes.
We're not the fastest adopters of technology generally, right? And that's because we have problems that we're still trying to solve, infrastructure problems. Um,
Yeah.
in terms of even affordability of the best or quality technology, um, we don't have access as much as the Western world, right? But the beauty of it is, even globally, AI adoption right now is with the way technology works is for some people it works very very fast, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody then has access to it. But for most people, it's actually very slow because people are still trying to figure out what exactly they can do with that technology, the return on
Yeah.
investment, and all of that, right? And then all of a sudden, it then goes so fast, right? Right now, we're at a place where for the early people globally, every other day there's a new model, blah, 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 and all of that, right? But
Yeah.
for 90% of the world, yeah, adoption is still very, very low. And that's
Very
because there are still challenges right now, the costs, the return on investment on even the costs, the big
yeah.
spenders that are spending are also trying to see are they actually getting good return on investment and all of that, right? But the beauty of it also is that even with the accessible technology applications we have right now, the ChatGPT, I think for ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude, for instance, let's even say ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT Nigeria is probably amongst the top 10 highest adopters of that technology. That's the truth. Because we like free things. If it is free and it gives value, we will adopt
Yeah.
it. So at a surface basic level, yes, there's good adoption, right? But at the level where you will get massive productivity gains and where one person can use AI to run his entire business and make millions of dollars, or three people and all of that, right? We're not there yet. But the beauty of it is we're not far behind because a large portion of the world itself is also not there. And that's a good thing as well, too. And that will lead me to even, the role Nigeria can play. Why it's a good thing is because we have the youngest population on earth, like the youngest, largest population on earth, right? And that
Or
presents
in
an opportunity
Africa.
on earth. Like we have
Okay. Why? Because
part of the youngest, yes. So I'm talking
okay,
about no,
is
I'm
it?
talking about the
Are
continent
you talking
now.
about
The continent, Africa
okay
right
continent?
now,
Okay. Okay.
yes, has the
Okay.
youngest population. We have the largest group of young people
Yeah.
globally, right? And it's young people that drive technology adoption. It's young people that essentially makes everybody see the value in it. I was telling
Yeah.
someone last week, or so I think sometime this week or last, I can't remember when exactly. What made ChatGPT go much more mainstream, I think, was students. because students were using it to do their assignments and all of that, right?
Yes, yes,
So
yes, that's
before
true.
ChatGPT, Grammarly and all of that, but students
Yeah,
definitely had a huge significant role in how fast that technology grew, right?
yeah,
And these are young people, right? Essentially, as these same people are joining businesses and or companies and all of that, they're identifying opportunities where they can leverage the technology. So I think
yeah,
right now it's an opportunity for us to harness, the young ecosystem that we have, the young people to
yeah,
build talent to be builders, right? To build talent in using this technology. We shouldn't be consumers. We should be builders. We should leverage this technology to do things, right? We have a very, very big opportunity to be at the forefront of a technology. And that's because we have that young population, right? So I think Africa should not carry last, really, We should essentially put ourselves at the forefront of basically learning this technology, building with it. Even if we are not going
mm,
to solve a lot of our own problems, which I think we would, we can still generate lots of money for our ecosystem or for our own continent by
mm,
working for the Western world or for other parts of the world, right?
yeah,
Reduce the unemployment gap that we have in this part of the world, right? By essentially delivering services and products to other places that don't have some of the infrastructure problems that we have or that can afford these things. Yes, true. We have obstacles like power issues,
yeah,
internet costs, funding and all of that, right? But I believe, just like every other technology wave, you know, the tools will get cheaper, right? Even with internet and power, things are gradually getting better, right? So I think for us, it's let's make sure we leverage the young population that we have right now, right? To become builders and not just consumers of this technology. Because generally, as Africans and Nigerians, we are mostly consumers of technology, right? But we
yeah,
need to build. And we have that opportunity right now, with capability to actually build much more world-class solutions and services or deliver them from this part of the world.
yeah. According to some research I did, I figured out that humans generally, including the white people, we've not explored 10% of AI possibilities. It's just like we all are just scratching the surface. Even with all these things that they are building, the all these innovations and everything, it's just like we are still scratching the surface. We've not really explored most of its potential. And then when we now talk, when aside AI, we still have artificial general intelligence. That's when we are done with AI. We still have artificial general
Yeah.
intelligence AGI. We still have artificial super intelligence, which is ASI. So we still have a very long way to go. And then when you look at us in Nigeria, we still need a lot of things. I mean, we need so many things. But then our government, we need to, our government has a lot of things to do for us. I mean, a lot of things. So let me ask. I have two questions before we go. So I'm talking about government. How do you think government can help us to adopt AI faster and then improve and then solve more problems that needs to be solved? How can government come in this?
Okay, so the education part is one part that I think governments can actually help, right? Um,
Yeah,
like I said previously, we have the youngest population on earth, right? And a generation of people that have energy and are very, very inquisitive, right? So I believe that the government should make AI education part of our curriculum, right? I
yeah,
think even if it's not part of like the main subjects that are being taught, it can be something
yeah,
that is still made mandatory at a certain level of the education, right? Even someone in secondary school right now can build an application or build a website with AI because it's
yes,
natural
sure.
language. So imagine making it mandatory.
Hmm.
I also believe the governments can also reward people that are essentially, trying to solve problems with AI, like much more publicly,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes, yes. To encourage more people to solve
Encourage
more problems.
exactly to encourage people. The government obviously also has the budget for certain things that they're trying to achieve. Believe and trust that young people can actually solve these things. And with access to artificial intelligence technology, there's more zeal to solve now because it's solving problems right now and being able to think. That intelligence is getting democratized, right? So I believe government has a significant role to play. But most importantly, also even just having that enabling environment, the infrastructure, them solving some of the problems that we have every day would ginger people and even make people want to learn. If there's more light, people would basically be able to use their systems to build things more, right? If
Sure, sure.
the government regulates and ensures that the telecommunication sector works well, right? The cost of data and all of that, is more affordable. People will leverage this technology, right? And I believe government even has the power to still even work with some of those frontier models, right? Some of the companies that are building the frontier models. So essentially, even just make it available for its own citizens, right? We can even build our own local models. That's the truth. There are open source
Yeah,
models right now that exist that the government can invest in basically hosting, right? Basically invest in compute, invest in data centers or some form of way to give its citizens access to these models locally, right? So we can
yeah.
build and solve our own problems. Yes, I think these are ways that, yes, for sure, the government can play a key role in ensuring that AI goes much more mainstream and adoption is deeper in this part of the world.
All right, thank you. It's almost an hour already. So let me just ask this one final question before we call it a day. So, what is one thing everyone should do this week? Business owners, students, freelancers. What do you think they should do this week to start taking AI seriously for those that haven't yet?
Pick one tool and commit to basically making the most out of that tool for the next 30 days. You can basically start with just one weekend, right? You can start with just this weekend, though. But for the next 30 days, just commit to solving one or two of your problems with that particular tool, right? I know right now everybody is leveraging ChatGPT, right? But there's more you can do. You know, if that's the level you are right now, fine, do more with it. If you want to write more, if you want to basically ChatGPT itself, you can even build an app because you basically can just have it generate the code for you, and then tell it to teach you how to go and host or how to essentially just put that code together and eventually deploy the application, whether it's even one a static site or whatever, right? Or basically use it to build something, automate your work, really. But just pick one and then for the next 30 days, make the most out of it. Figure out the problems that are very important to you and try and solve them with just one or two tools at most. Build something, don't just be someone that is reading and consuming. The most important thing everybody should do right now is to be a builder with AI.
Yeah, we should we should be thinking of how to solve more problems. We should be thinking of how to solve more problems. Build something, be innovative. You know, because there are so many opportunities. So thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate. So I'm going to drop the link to the AI Builders Network. So anyone interested can join. We'll be starting our tutorial properly this Saturday. Saturday is 6th of July or 6th of June 2026 by 4 to 6 p.m. So I've sent the okay, yes, I've sent it to the as I've sent the link to join the AI Builders Network on the comments. I've dropped it on the comment section. So anyone interested can join. And then Mr. KB will also be with us. He's also a member of the AI Bidders Network. And then he will also be taking us some weekends. So to everyone, thank you for joining. Thank you, Mr. KB, for joining us. And then we'll have to
Thanks for
call it a
having
day
me.
from here. Thank you very much.
All right,
All right.
ciao. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye,
Yeah, cheers.
everyone. Yeah.